Hello, people. How's it going? Um, I'm old enough. I remember when Star Wars came out, 1977. I remember seeing it. I remember enjoying it, and I did. I like the three movies. I like the three original trilogy movies, and in my mind, those are the only trilogy movies of the Star Wars saga. I like the trials and tribulations of Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked all of that stuff. I liked Darth Vader. I liked Governor Tarkin, played by the wonderful Peter Cushing. I liked Boba Fett, as I said. I liked all of it. I liked all the interesting worlds that Star Wars created, and I liked all the interesting ideas. I even liked the philosophy. I liked the stories. The funny thing is, I didn't get into it until later. When I say that, I mean I did not get into the idea of science fiction being all that interesting to me until later. I used to watch science fiction movies. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't almost until I think it was almost either Return of the Jedi where I think I might have become more and more interested. But those three films are the only Star Wars films that exist. Now, do I dislike the prequels? Not really. I don't dislike the prequels. I found them interesting, and they have some good moments. They have some interesting moments. They have some good characters. Christopher Lee as a Sith Lord, you know, or was he a Sith Lord? He was a Sith Lord. I'm trying to remember if he was an apprentice or a Sith Lord yet. I like the Emperor. I like Darth Maul. I liked Kenobi, of course. Oh, I liked Samuel L. Jackson's of Jedi. I liked all of it. I did like it, but I wasn't much into it. If that makes any sense. Those three were rather subpar trilogy. Doesn't ruin the Star Wars thing that comes later when Disney gets a hold of it. I'll get there. I remember, oddly enough, and I know it's gonna sound weird, but I remember reading Splinter in the Mind's Eye. I have the book right down there, Alan Dean Foster's book, and I enjoyed reading that. I enjoyed that Splinter in the Mind's Eye. I thought it was very good. I liked all of Alan Dean Foster's books. The funny thing is, I would read these books, and I think it just did not really. The idea that it was science fiction really hadn't hit me quite yet, if that makes sense, because it's like I would just read it for the characters, for the plot, the story, and the fact that it was a science fiction story. I don't think really. I don't know how to put this because it sounds weird, but I don't think it really was in the back of my mind. It's a story. That was all it was to me. I didn't analyze this stuff like I do now. When I first started reading some of this stuff, it was science fiction. It was just a story to me. It was a novel. If that makes sense. I read the Han Solo Adventures, all three books, the original Han Solo stories, before before him ran into Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, R2D2, and C3PO, and the bar scene was cool. I read those stories. Han Solo stars in, Han Solo's Revenge. Doesn't tell me what they were. It just tells me that anyway. But yeah, I read. I didn't read the Land of Calrissians. I think those came later, and I think I sort of lost interest in sci-fi, sort of briefly. It wasn't really that big. I read. I like science fiction. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I saw it as science fiction. I think I saw it as stories. I saw it as interesting characters, fun to watch. This pillow is going to drive me to drink, which I'm going to do. I do like the original Star Wars. I think it's a very good film. It will always be the best of the three because it was the first one. I like Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. And now we'll get to the Disney Star Wars. I liked The Force Awakens, also written by Alan Dean Foster. I liked it. I saw it had potential. The Rey character I saw had potential. The Finn character had potential. It had potential to be a great movie, a great trilogy of movies about the Star Wars universe, and unfortunately, it became a disaster after the Force Awakens. I never saw the last one. Was it the? Uh, I'm glad it was so wrong. I didn't see it. I just couldn't do it. To me, it was like, okay, you've screwed up Star Wars. They're now girl boss movies, and they're all woke movies, and they're no longer stories. The problem with the three films is they're written by people who don't like Star Wars, who don't really care for Star Wars, and don't really want to write stories about Star Wars. They want to write stories putting themselves into it and rewriting things and this, that, and the other. And we won't get into Mark Hamill and what he is today. Okay, I want to remember Mark Hamill as being Luke Skywalker. I think what his name is in the Big Red One, which is a good war movie, by the way. The remastered one is excellent when they redid it and they just put all the scenes back in that shouldn't have been taken out. And he's great as the Joker. And he was great as the Trickster in the first Flash series. And actually he was in the second one too. But anyway. The Disney Star Wars trilogy went from potential good to overwhelmingly bad. And I liked Rogue One, by the way. I did also like that one. That one was okay. I have seen none of the Disney Plus Star Wars things. I've heard enough about them. I watched other YouTubers talk about them, so I got a pretty good idea of the crap that they were. And if I had, I probably would have stopped once Disney basically screwed Gina Carano. I mean, her character was wonderful. Her character was wonderfully brilliant. And it was a fun character. It was a good character. People liked that character. But it wasn't what certain people wanted. They wanted a strong female character, but not that one. I mean, the problem with Star Wars, not this one, the last trilogy they screwed up, was it was written by people who don't like Star Wars, who can't write Star Wars, who can't think outside of themselves, who create characters that are about them. Okay, the reason this works is it's not about them; it's about the characters they wrote about. I mean, The Force Awakens had potential, and I did like that film. I liked that film. I did. I liked it. I was hoping Finn would become a Jedi. I thought that would be cool. A stormtrooper becoming a Jedi. No, that wasn't going to happen. Don't get me wrong. Daisy Ridley's a wonderful, pretty girl. Acts pretty good, but she was a Mary Sue. She didn't have to work for anything. It just came to her. I mean, Luke had to at least learn how to be a Jedi. And the Emperor Palpatine mess nonsense was ridiculous. And anyway, I mean, the funny thing is, science fiction is probably not the least of the things I like writing about, because it's not. But it's one of those things that I still am not 100% interested in, per se, depending on the subject matter, particularly this day and age. I mean, I've read Dune. It was okay. I didn't see the movie. I don't have a TV, and I don't have DVDs right now. I'm probably going to start buying DVDs again so I can do movie reviews and talk about the movies, this, that, and the other, and other things. Because I do want to do one of these on Doctor Who. I'll get to Doctor Who eventually, I promise. But the Han Solo character, they just screwed up. They literally turned Luke Skywalker into a loser and a defeatist. They made Han Solo out to be just... They destroyed all these wonderful characters that were in here. And they did it on purpose. I mean, they could have made a great series of movies, but that's not what Hollywood is anymore. And certainly isn't what Disney films is anymore. I mean, they've royally screwed the Marvel movies up. They've royally screwed the Star Wars movies up. I mean, I wasn't a super fan when it came to Star Wars. Even as a kid, I'm trying to remember what movies I still liked as a kid. I mean, actually, that was 50 odd years ago. Almost 50 odd years ago. Somewhere around there. I was probably still into dinosaurs when I was that age. Star Wars, unfortunately, is a pile of crap. What it is now, anyway. Because it's written by people who don't care about what they're writing. They just want to make sure that they are seen on their own screen, on their own stories, and it's about them. Um, Kathleen Kennedy, I know why she has been fired, because people are terrified of firing her. She's terrible. She doesn't know what she's doing. Well, she does know what she's doing. She just doesn't care. I mean, it has such potential. This world has had such potential to be a franchise with lots and lots of movies. And Disney Star Wars screwed it up. And they literally don't care. It's about social justice and political correctness and political concepts and wokeism and girl bosses and Mary Sue's and, you know, diversity and all the other nonsense. In the actual real world, those things already exist. When you try to literally force them into a story, it doesn't work. Forced diversity doesn't work. Forced equity doesn't work. When you force things into a story, the story stops being about people and about ideas without people. That may not make any sense, but I think I know what I meant. I mean, it becomes soapboxes. That's what it's basically I'm saying. Is that this was not a soapbox. This was a trilogy. This was a brilliantly wonderful, fun trilogy to watch, and it still is. What it is now is a large pile of donkey dung, because that's what it is. But anyway. I mean, as I've said, I liked The Force Awakens. I saw potential. I saw it as a fairly decent film. It had its flaws. I mean, Kylo Ren drove me crazy. I mean, I'm sorry. Of all the characters in that first film that I really wanted to shove a lightsaber through, just for he'd stop whining and stop complaining and stop throwing temper tantrums, was him. But anyway, I mean, I have seen none of the Disney Star Wars TV shows, whatever you want to call them. I mean, the Gina Carano thing basically sealed the deal that these people do not want what they claim they want. They just want followers, blind, leading followers who will just do as they're told and consume and not think about what they're being consumed or what they're consuming. Good writing isn't about self. You can write about certain things in your life. You can put your ideas into something, but it has to sound like it's coming from the character and not you. And that's where Star Wars is failing. And well, one of the many reasons Star Wars is failing. Because they're literally, well, as I said, it's not about character arcs and character development and character stories. It's soapbox stories. A soapbox story works within a story, but not the whole story. I mean, I mean, I didn't see. Was it Rise of Skywalker? Was the very last one? Whichever was the last one, I didn't bother seeing. I did see the first one, and I saw the second one, and after I said, "This is crap. This is boring writing, boring character development." There is no character development. Without character development, you don't have a story. Your character can have all the soapbox speeches they want, but if there's no character development behind it, no character arc behind it, or it just comes to them easily, then that doesn't happen in the real world. Very rarely does something just come to someone easily and they don't have to work at it, like Mozart. Mozart didn't have to do anything over. He didn't make rough drafts. Everything was everything was a first copy with him. He's allowed. He's Mozart. Disney writers, you're not Mozart. But anyway. But I did like Splinter in the Mind's Eye. I remember reading that when it came out. And Alan Dean Foster also wrote The Force Awakens. As I said many times, it was good. I liked it. I saw potential. I noticed it just for some reason. I mean, I have this one. I have a few other Star Wars books when it was good, but as long as Disney is doing Star Wars of any kind, it's going to be political claptrap. It's going to be bad writing, bad plots, bad characters. Well, none of those things because they're not trying to do those things. Now it's just politics, basically. Let's be honest, it's politics. And all those little tentacles of politics. They don't make good male characters anymore. They're not going to. And they don't even make good female characters anymore. They all sound alike. All the female characters are Mary Sue girl bosses who all they're all alike. They have no arc. They have no real challenges. They have no real character development. They are perfect when they come on stage, when they're on the screen. Well, that's boring. I mean, you want to see character arcs. You want to see character development. You want to see them fail and succeed and get defeated, rise back up and overcome obstacles, and you don't see them anymore. Not in the Star Wars universe, anyway. We'll get the Doctor Who soon. Believe me, I haven't forgotten that one. That one's worse. That one is far worse. They have turned Doctor Who into is a disaster. But anyway, these books and movies are worth it. I mean, these original, the first three are worth it. And no, I will not bring up the Christmas special. Anyway, but yes, those three. I am going to try to. I am at some point going to try to buy the movies again, if I can talk about them, about the movies at least. This one is about creativity. This video should really is about creativity or the lack thereof, But anyway, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and share with someone who might be interested in reading this, or comment or something. Thanks for listening. Behave yourselves, people, because I'm not going to. Later.